All right, so hopefully some of you are seeing and hearing this. There's the chat. Yep. Okay, cool. Now if I can just I will get this all figured out eventually on how to get this up on I gotta turn the auto lock off first. Okay, there we go. My problem is I try to get on before I'm broadcasting, and that I think has been my big problem, is that I can't see it because I'm okay. Where's the mic? I don't want to cover the mic, but I need to do where I can see this. So, all right, cool. Happy Tuesday. At least I think it's Tuesday. I don't know about you, but I kind of, without my husband, I work from home on a regular basis. But my problem is right now is everybody's here all day. And without my husband coming and going, or my son coming and going to work, I sometimes don't necessarily realize what day is today and what time is it. So the fact that I'm here, I'm proud of myself. Running a couple minutes late. There's always, I swear, something comes up in the 15 minutes before I'm set to do a live broadcast. Always. So, I was getting word from a friend of mine in Idaho saying that there's a Joann's in this area that's open. All non-essential businesses are supposed to be closed, and while to some of us, craft stores are essential, but for the greater good, I don't think Joann's can come at me all they want, but if they're using a loophole by saying because they have cake decorating supplies, that they have groceries, and that's how they're loopholing around and staying open, I'm all for Joann's and what they're offering in terms of helping with masks and providing materials for creating masks. But those materials can be picked up at the curbside pickup, which every other Joann's in the Western Washington is doing. But the fact that this one store gets to remain open, I'm sorry, it's pissing me off. I don't want to be stuck at home. But everybody in Western Washington is, and we're flattening the curve because we are, and I'm hot about this, so I'll drop it, but this is really annoying me, and it came up like literally 15 minutes before I started, so I just get frustrated. There's a lot of people out of work, and I don't want other people to be out of work. I'm sorry, no craft supplies are an essential need right now. So it's just really frustrating to me. Anyway, so I'll drop it now and deal with it after the show. So got over my little thing. So hopefully this doesn't get me all booted off of YouTube, but if it does, fine. It's like what you see all over Facebook right now. It's kind of one of those things where, when you were in elementary school and there was the one kid that kept acting up, and so everybody else had to get less recess or more of something they didn't want to do. And so it's like, stay home, and that's the best way to stay safe. So anyway, soapbox is over, and now we don't want to dwell on this because this is our break time from all of this. So thank you for my couple minutes of soapboxing. So now, now we can just play a bit. So anyway, you guys missed it. I mean, it looks nice and bright behind me. Too bright behind me because that's where my windows are. But we just had a massive hailstorm outside, so that was exciting. So fortunately, that's not happening right now, and the clouds aren't as black as they were. So hopefully it won't happen again because it's pretty loud. But anyway, so we are continuing on working on the modification of the summer fairy house. And we finished off doing the stonework, which we ended up doing the stone on the front tower. And then we also did the roof. Now, one of the things to talk about on this roof, I did use Tim Holtz Alterations dye and texture plate to do the roof this way. On the original, it has these bands going horizontally, but you can do them vertically using the same size bands and the same method that I used in the original pattern, where I heavily distressed the edges of strips, paper strips, and then we applied them in that one horizontally. You can make those same widths, anywhere from a 1/2 inch up to like 1.25 inches in width strips that you distress, and you can apply them in the same way that I did on this one using a die. So you don't need to use the die in order to do a roof like I did on this one. You can do it with just the distress strips, or if you don't want to distress them, you can just make the shingles out of strips of the pattern paper if that's what you want to do. So it doesn't require that you have to have that die and texture plate. So I don't want anybody thinking, I got to find someplace I can order that from, because you don't have to. You can do it just with strips. So one thing real quick, I would assume, based on the numbers that are here, that all of you who are here right now are ones that are familiar with my website and all that. But with everybody being off, I just want to put this out there for people who may be watching the video at a later time. For all of you who are being, who haven't been on my website in some time, like before 2017, because I've had a flood of people who are irritated and frustrated wanting to get into their account, but they haven't logged in since the great crash of 2017, and so they're frustrated in that because they can't log on, and obviously they are reading what is still on the opening page of my website and has been on the opening page of my website for 3 years now. So I understand. And I understand frustration of wanting to get into your account. But I just ask for those people who haven't been on the website in over 3 years to please be patient in terms of getting that set up. Don't send me an angry, pissed off email because you can't get in. It's been a few years since you've been on. Also, I also do want to let people know, I have not been updating or adding in the pattern to accounts of people who have not specifically requested that. If somewhere along the line you did request and I haven't gotten that yet, please feel free to send me another email. I've tried to maintain going through the list of people that I had, but I can and have missed people. So if you do need access to those past orders and you don't have that, please let me know. But I have to go in and manually do it, and it does take time. That is for any purchases that were from around March of 2014 forward. Those I have ready access to. Those are easy to do. That's when we built the website, and we used the same model, and we were able to import the majority of stuff when we built the new site in 2017. I moved on to the format, the WordPress format, in March of 2014. That's the one that Ansley helped me set up. I was also on early on, I think from 2010 and 2000 up until sometime in 2011, I think it was, I was using Etsy. that was in the days before Etsy's did not have the instant download. And everybody goes, I don't understand why I can't still download it from there. Well, because they didn't have instant download back in 2010. That's something relatively recent. I used to have to email everybody's patterns when I was on Etsy, which is why I then went ahead and had a website. Now, from around sometime 2011, might have been early 2012, until March of 2014, there's a window where I had a website on a completely different structured platform. And on that one, we had no way of importing, because it was like it was trying to import something that was in a weird language from another planet and trying to put it into the WordPress website. And it wouldn't do it. We had super computer brains trying to figure out how to do it, and it wouldn't do it. So I actually don't have super easy, ready access to about 2 years from 2000, let's just say 2012 to early 2014. I don't have access to that other than through PayPal. Now, I have downloaded off of PayPal because I can only go so far back on PayPal as well, and I think it's right around in that 2014. But that window, I have downloaded and it's all on an Excel sheet, all of my data from that 2-year period. But I will tell you this, it takes hours to read through that in order to find a specific order that you may have in order for me to put it into so if you have any information when you are asking for access to something specific, if you have any information that could help me, like dates or something, as to when you may have purchased something, that's a massive help, because I can't physically go into PayPal any longer and put in a date. Or just ask if you are, home and you're paper crafting and you haven't been for a long time and you want a pattern or you want access to something, that I just ask, like anybody in the retail industry right now, please be patient, because it's not easy to find some of this information. If it's recent, much easier, but some of the older stuff, I'm sorry, I do my best, and I will try to get it as quickly as I can, but I just ask that you be patient if you're requesting information that's pre-2014. There's just that. So this is just a little bit of information that it's easier if I say it, just because with so many people home, it's coming up. And a lot, I know I have constant people trying to get into their older accounts and such. And if you can't get into your account, you do need to contact me, because we need to get it reset up. Now, if you're just trying to get into your account to order, when you order, you will set up a new account, and I can attach into some of the stuff that's inside, but I'm basically just using an older album as an inspiration jumping off point. And this one was from, I want to say 2014. I think it was called Twin Set. And in this one, it had one side was pages and one side was pockets. So I'm going to do the same sort of thing. I've enlarged the pages. I've added pages to the one side, and they're going to have flips and pockets and all sorts of stuff like we've been doing more recently on albums. And then on this side, in keeping with my photo journal series, which seems to be my 2020 thing, is to be doing these photo journals, is that we'll make a signature, little journal signatures that will go into the pockets on this side. If you don't want to have that, you can make a mirror image of the pages that are on this side and put them on this side. In the twin set, I had the original pattern. It had things like, okay, so like this one, because the two sides are different, it's fraternal twins. And if I did it both to where both sides were the same, so if I did it all pages, I think I called that identical twins, and this was called fraternal twins. And then I had something that I didn't look at the pattern that closely. I had conjoined twins as well, and I don't remember. I think this one is if I had two of the one with the pages, it was called identical twins, and if it had two with the pockets because the pages are kind of connected together, I think I called that conjoined twins. So it was a while ago. So this is the model I'm using as. Can you tell I've been listening to the TV? This is the inspiration that I'm using, and because this one was only 6 by 9, which in those days was pretty good size. And so this one is going to be more like the base pages are 8 by 10 and a quarter, so larger. Because my box is going to be 8.5 by 11, so we can make the larger album to fit inside the box. So everybody's talking about the shelves behind me. That's where my stamps all are, and that is from Hobby Lobby. Though we painted some of them. Sarah stole it for a little while, so we painted some of the drawers. It has some that were pink, but we painted them all so that there were aqua, gray, and yellow. Because that's the color that and I didn't care at the time. So I'm eventually going to paint them all to be all one color or something like that. So, excuse me. Well, Joy, you got to remember, back in those days, this was a big album. Joy says only 6 by 9. This was a big album back in 2014. In those days, we were still making them like 4 by 6. So I think it's so funny how things evolved. And mini albums truly were mini albums. We were doing little albums. And then they started to grow. So now it's like if it's smaller than 8 by 10, it's a small album. So, but crazy. So I know. And Lois wants it blue. Yeah. So, But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and switch cameras so you don't have to sit there and look at me with my hair that needs to get washed. All right, and making sure that I have sound. So if Joy could let me know that you can hear me now that I've switched cameras. So... All right, so again, this is the house. So what we're going to work on today is I want to get the sides of the siding on, and I want to get the roofs and the roof. Oh, I got to grab the roof for I didn't get it out. So the roof for the door and the door, and then I wouldn't mind doing the windows as well if we can get to those today as well. So, but one of the things in terms of looking at this is very neutrally toned. It looks a lot better in this light than I need to come up with some other lighting to add in on Friday nights when it's dark in here, because everything looked totally whack. Like now you can see what I'm talking about is, well, it's still a little darker than in reality, but it was really showing up as the pieces between the quote-unquote stones on the fireplace were looking really intensely contrasting in the lighting on with it's dark outside. You know, I get some natural light coming in, and that's north light, so it's nice and even from my windows. So but it's very neutral looking, and if I went with a neutral siding, it's gonna kind of go a little bland for my taste. So I went through the paper collection I'm using, which is the Pink Pixies paper, and was looking at, rather than going with something like just the plain white, which would look kind of bland, I pulled out some of the all over patterns. One's kind of a pink and one's kind of a green. And I was thinking using these. It's not showing up as much color-wise on camera, but I think it's going to show up and be a lot less bland. I had decided I was pretty much going to use the pink before, and now that I'm looking at it, I think I like the green better. Oh, that's just too funny. Yeah, I think I want to do the green. That's funny because I pretty much had all decided. And so then I also have some, I've pulled some different shades, soft shades of green. And I think I might just use all 3 shades of the green to use with a leaf punch. Or you can also just cut these shapes out. Or if you have a leaf die cut, you could die cut them as well. Just because I know McGill doesn't even exist any longer. I think Sizzix bought McGill. Tim Holtz was somehow involved in. I just assumed that Tim was going to be coming out with a bunch of punches when they bought McGill, but punches lost favor, and now everybody just does dies. I love punches. I have all these punches. A lot of you have a lot of punches. And just because they don't sell punches anymore doesn't mean we can't use them. And it's just unfortunate that those of you who missed out on the punch period of paper crafting, that you don't have access to the punches that a lot of us already have. But as I said, the dies there are dies out there available. But this is what we will then use for the roofing on the tower and on the entryway roof. Let me find that piece. What did I do with them? Why did I drop them on the floor? They're not inside. They're not with the paper. Okay, I put them away. Well, I don't know about you, but when I put something away, sometimes it's never to be seen again. So, but I have these nifty drawers now that I put things away in. Where is it? There it is. It helps if you look in the correct drawer. All right, so I have the roof and the door, and we can go ahead and glue the roof on. I'm sorry, I keep hitting my table with the arms of my chair because they're right exactly at the right height, but I can't make them any lower, and I wish I could. So, but it makes my camera wiggle, and I apologize for that. So let's go ahead and get this put on. Well, and it's hard, Pam. She's saying she hates that nobody uses, you guys all bought these because we were using them, and then they stopped making them, so now nobody ever uses them. And it's like, okay, well, you've got all this stuff that we used for years, and now they don't make it, but a lot of you do have it. So I'd rather use it and then help out people who don't have it figure out an alternative than to not use it. So. I don't know why I'm probably using up too much bandwidth, so, because I'm not getting any of I'm just getting spinning circle on my, reset that, on my iPad. I feel you guys' pain now. So, there I've got my little roof glued on. So, let's go ahead and get our siding stuff on there, and then we'll go ahead and do our roofing and that, let that dry for a bit. Excuse the sneeze, it's just my allergies. I gotta tell you, it's no fun having allergies during a pandemic. The death looks you get. I mean, I have done just about stood on my head to stop a sneeze. So well, half the world is on the internet these days. So, and I know my entire family is on the internet. I'm probably messing up my husband right now by doing the show, but he'll have to figure it out, I guess. Alright, so let's go ahead. I'm going to have it to where it wraps. I think. Yeah, I think I will. Okay, so if I do it like 4 1/4, just under 4. So is this the right height? And then I'll put a little band on the bottom too, but let's just get this on here. Mark. Okay, that wraps. That's that one. Okay, and then we can do the other front one because then the rest will be have angle to it. So there. Now I'm going to just set this on there and hold it in place, flip it over, and look up inside there. Just kind of trace where the hole is so that I can then cut that out. Alright, so that's going to fit on there just perfectly. Alright, so let me use your favorite color of ink to distress your edges if you want. I'm using Vintage Photo because, well, it's what I use on pretty much everything these days. See, I can also add just on, now that this is all dried, I can just brush it also onto my stones to warm them up a little so it ties all in. So that just warmed up my stones, and then brown kind of. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use, I think I'll glue it on. I'm trying to be sparing with my score tape just because it's a pain to order it. And my usual place to get it locally is closed. So, and I don't know. I mean, the place where I get it from wholesale wise is in Washington, but I don't know if they're open. So, oh, I meant to do the window opening too. I can also do that once it's on there. So. Okay, so I can hold that down. Let it wrap around. It's much more of an immediate grip when you're using your. Oh, I got my dressier sweats on, and I'm getting glue on them. So I'm just wrap that around, but when you're wrapping it with glue versus tape, you just got to hold it a little bit better. I think that looks, it's just a little bit fresher and brighter with the floral print instead. You can also do it in strips and stuff, but I just think it makes for a fresher kind of look versus the just neutral. So it's a soft color. It's hard to see on camera, but it's a soft kind of seafoamy green and some peachy pinks with the florals. But it kind of gives it just brightens it up a little bit. So we got this one going in over here. This is a Martha Stewart craft knife. It's just a number, is it 7 or 9 or something? It's just a standard craft knife blade. It doesn't have a special blade or anything. It's just a regular blade. Well, they discontinued them a few years ago, and I freaked out, and I bought some. People sent me some because it's my favorite, but I've been still seeing them, so they must still be making them. Martha Stewart Inc. makes significantly fewer craft supplies than they used to. She went more into party supplies and less paper crafting. Yeah, I don't know why I can't get the picture to come up on my screen. Okay, so the easiest way to cut these is if you still have the template that we used, which I should, but do it. I don't know that I kept the template because I didn't know if I didn't think I would use it again, so I probably didn't keep it. But there is a template in your in the pattern for doing this side. And let me just see this or not. I don't think it is, and I don't think it's there. What did I do with it? Where did you put it, Laura? I'm not sure what I did with it. So I can probably easiest to print a new one. Let me pull it up real quick and print a new one so that I can show you how to do it, because it's going to be a pain with that curve to just wing it. So bear with me here momentarily while I figure this out. Number 11 blade. Thank you, Joy. That's what it is exactly. Now, as I said, I'm using the Pink Pearl Pixies is the main paper, and the wood tones and stuff is the supplement for the Fairy Sailing Ship. So it's Pink Pearl Pixies and the Pink Pearl Fairy Sailing Ship Supplemental are those two. Let's see, this is under a different place. Almost there, almost there. Alright, so that's printing, and we can use then that as a template for the to cut this side and such. So oh, I had it not playing. That was my problem. Okay, now I'm back on. Okay, so now I've cut it. Well, come on, print. Printer. Something got goofed up with my the plug that I had it plugged into, so it was offline. So sorry. Come on, print. It's looking for the printer. Come on. Print already. Okay, well, we'll just use that one and start it again. Don't know why. This is just life story for me. Constant. Why are we not printing? The printer is now on. Oh my goodness. Really? No. No. Cancel. Stop. Stop. You're not printing. You're trying to copy, and I don't want you to copy. Well, obviously my printer's gotten all goofed up, and I have to reset it up. So, yeah, life story. Okay, so we'll figure this out then. Never easy. Alright, so that's the right height, maybe a 1/4 inch off. So let's cut this to there. So we'll cut it to the right width, and then it needs to lose like a 1/4 inch in height. And about the time I get this all figured out, guaranteed, it will print. All right. Okay, so mark it right there. It comes up to that point. So I'm just going to do it straight, and then I can adjust the curve when I've got the big chunk off of there. So then I can tweak the curve from there. And maybe my thing will print by then. Still looking for the printer. This means everything has to get all reset. I think one of the cats somehow goofed up my my strip, and it got turned off. And playing with something else, and so as a result, I'm just kind of stuffing it down into that corner to try to cut it, and then we'll just cover over any of the seam with moss. When all else fails, cover it with moss. So hopefully that'll be close enough. Yeah, that worked. So I just kind of crammed it down into the joint and then cut it on that. So that worked. So I could probably use the same curve for the other side. So we'll figure that out too. Ink this. But the easiest way is to use the template if I hadn't gotten rid of the template and I had my printer wanting to print. Grr. Oh, this is probably this one. This ruler, it's only clean because I have to replace them every couple of months. I've had at least 20 of these rulers over the years, easily. Because the markings come off. I don't usually get it too messy, but I do lose markings off of it. And then I went through a stretch of them where they bowed. The metal thing was not straight, and it had a bow. This one's got a little bit of a bow to it. Like, it's no gap at top and bottom, but there's close to a 1/16 of an inch gap here in the middle, and it has a bow to it. No. My craft knife just rolled off the front edge. So I'll have to get up and get that here in just a second. So on this one, you'll just use the same side piece to cut this. And the other side, you can use the same side piece, but it'll be just that little strip right there. And I should have used this one, but I've got glue on it now, so too late. this on this side over here. I need to cut that to, it's 3/4. I want that rose kind of on the sides. All right. So right here, it's 4 inches. Use that to cut my curve. It's a slight curve down at this part, but still slightly a curve. And so then that fits right in there, like so. I'll cut a little bit off this back edge. Oh, I need the craft knife now. The running white craft knife. So I'm just kind of sliver off this back edge so it fits a little bit better. There we go. And again, in that little edge, whoops, that edge, I'll probably put some on my moss in there. The cover up of anything fairy is the ground moss. Well, Annie, you also have to remember, this is my business. I'm not just crafting, so I'm using my rulers, 5 to 10 hours a day too. So you got to remember, and that's why I go through so many of them. I craft in a day more than a lot of people do in a year on some day, or in a weekend on some days. So I use my ruler a lot, and probably more than a lot of people do. So you have to remember that. That's why I go through so many of them. I mean, I'm not crafting quite that much these days as I used to. I've slowed down significantly on that, but that's why I have used so many of them then over the years. Okay, so that gets my pattern paper, and you can use a print like this. So a floral print like this works out just fine. If you want it to look more like natural, you could obviously use a wood grain paper or something like that then on those sides. But I kind of like how it gives it kind of a, since we're kind of going for a shabby look on this one. I was originally going to go with masculine, but I didn't have a paper good to go for that yet. So I will be doing one of these fairy houses that has a masculine look to it. I just have to get the paper done before I can do that. So, all right, so let's go ahead and punch some leaves. I'll do some in each of the 3 colors I have, and these are just kind of a real soft, sagey kind of green. So now some of them have a texture on them, and it's only on one side. So I want to do, I'll do like a half a dozen one way, and then flip the paper over and do half a dozen the other way. See, this is why I love punches. See, I can just pick this up. I can punch on my leaves. It's not a big production getting out the dies and setting it all up and cranking it through, especially when it's a tiny little die. And for this many leaves, that's a dozen passes. So I don't know why it was kind of determined that punches just weren't the way to go any longer. Frustrates me. So. It's still looking for the printer. Crazy thing. Now this paper is 2-sided. It has kind of a yellowy side on the back, so I can kind of use both. So I'll still do half one way, half the other. Alright, so now we got some leaves, and we can ink up the edges, and this part gets a little tedious, but it's worth it in the end. So bear with me while I do this part. See, I don't use an electronic die machine because then if I do that, those people who don't have that get frustrated. So if you've got an electronic die machine and you can cut them out that way, by all means, go for it. But, I mean, I've got one. I just never use it just because I know it's only a handful of my regulars, and especially, you know, of my non-regulars that have them. So if I do a design that incorporates using that leaves a lot of people out, so I just don't.
And I personally find for what the kinds of things that I want it to do, there's a rather steep learning curve that I don't really have the time nor the real huge desire to figure it out. And I've asked several times in the past of whether people would want anything like that, and I've gotten either crickets or no's. So it's like, okay, works for me. I mean, there have been times where I really wish I had something like like a home laser cutter or something like that. They have those now. Because that would be fun to do some things. But on the other hand, I think by keeping things created all by hand, it's just much more. I don't know. I personally love the process, and it's not so much about the finished product, other than if I'm giving it as a gift, but it's more the process and that hand creating it. It's like you put part of yourself into it. That if it's cut out by a machine, it doesn't feel. It has the same sort of soul. So, and I do my best to try to make the 3D projects, especially that I create for you, to where they're doable. So, and you can modify them and make them your own in that ways and stuff. Whereas if it's cookie cuttered, it's not the same. Alexa, I'm so sorry to hear that. But unfortunately, it helps. Fortunately, it does help, but unfortunately, it does make it very hard to cope with. And I'm sorry you're having to go through all of this. I had my little soapbox moment at the beginning of the show. So. Well, see, I jumped on the bandwagon of the electronic cutters and bought the one that Tim Holtz was doing stuff for in our marriage. I think it's the Sizzix one, or I don't know whose it is. Obviously, I don't, because I don't ever use it. But then I wasn't doing stuff for Tim Holtz anymore, so I don't ever really use it. So. In fact, to use it, I'd have to do some digging to find all the bits and pieces and parts. If you ever need to talk, Missy, little Alexa, you drop me an email. If you don't have anybody else to talk to, I know that's what's going to get us all through is sometimes having somebody to talk to and vent to. So, and I know you have some health issues, and it's a scary thing. So, you need to talk. You let me know, and I'll get you my phone number, and we can either text or chat. It's true with any of you. If anybody just needs somebody to have an ear, this is scary times. I am happy to help you out on a one-on-one basis. Okay, not like 50 of you at once, but I'm always an ear to help out. So. Alrighty, so there I've got those guys. And I'm just going to kind of fold and curl. And we start down at the bottom here. Trying to figure out where's the best camera angle for this. So, like so. So we can just put some on the bottom. I've had my days. I totally get it. I totally freaked out and broke down the other day. I was convinced I was getting a fever and I was panicking. Total full-on panic. And then I took my temperature and I didn't. So, but it was a scary hour or two because I didn't know where our thermometer was, but Sarah did. So. So just have them kind of hanging over to the side a little bit. Crumpled a little bit. Oh, Monica, I'm so sorry. We haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you. So you're just kind of layering them on, kind of like they're shingles, but we're just using punch leaves. And I'm just varying the colors as I'm placing them on. Biggest thing we got during all of this is be nice to yourself, be nice to others, but you do have to kind of watch out for you too. So, take some breaks and stuff. It's really easy. I know from experience, it's really easy to find yourself when you're working from home, working more than maybe you would if you were in your office or something like that. I know that's been part of my issue the last bit here is after so many years of really not allowing myself much break, my body finally just said, you need a bit more of a break. So I'm trying to, even through all of this, trying to do some stuff that are just for me. Like I'm trying to do some crocheting stuff and things like that. I've got oodles and gobs and tons to do, but I need to allow myself a lot more of a break from things. Even though what is many times for other people, oh, cool, this is your respite, and I love that. But, when this it's like, oh, I'd love to be able to craft all day and stuff. And it is many days. It's incredibly awesome. But there are some times when you have a deadline and you have to get something done, and people are counting on you and they're pressuring you, and it's not fun. It's just a job. Even if I were like a number cruncher, it's no different when it becomes a has to versus a want to kind of thing. So I'm learning the hard way of finding ways to let myself have a break from maybe doing this and doing something, because doing something creative is my go-to. But doing something that I have to do is not always a relaxing thing to do. And I've done, as Pam can attest to, she's the one who hears about me crying. It's like I'm just spinning wheels today. I'm not getting anything done, and it's frustrating and that kind of thing. So, because it is challenging. But I also don't want to leave you guys all just hanging in the lurch just because my brain goes on hold every so often. So that's why sometimes just doing things that I've already done, like this one, is good, because I'm not having to produce anything in order for us to do the project. So I'm starting to do it here now on my little. Now I did them up there at the top, and then I'll tuck the ones here at the edge. I'll tuck those under. And at the little joint there, I'll put some moss. I need to grind up some moss. I use a tiny little food processor that I do not use for food any longer to grind my moss. I have this huge box of moss downstairs. Looks like I'm putting together little baggies to sell on the street when you put that in the bags. I know my brother and I have had some difficulties over the last few years just with stuff, and I've talked to him more since this all started than I have probably in the last 3 or 4 years. And so there's little silver linings here and there throughout all of this. So, and I appreciate that. It's been nice having my big brother back again. And as challenging as it has been for Trevor having had to move back home, I'm just thankful that he was here and all settled in before this all hit, because I'd have been worried a lot more about him being out on his own with his job not happening right now and stuff. So, and it's a whole lot easier having him here rather than having him elsewhere. So. And I talk to my mom every day. It's also hard not being able to get to go see her, but she's in really good spirits, and she's got her books, and they're taking really great care of her where she's at. So it's definitely, the safest place for her to be, but it's hard. And we're all going through a hell of a lot. I'm just thankful at this point, and I don't want to jinx it by saying this, so I probably shouldn't, but at this point, I don't have any personal knowledge that I'm aware of anybody who's died from this, and I just hope that continues to stay true to that. So, and Trevor's been home for 2 weeks now. I was freaking out for a while because the ice rink he worked at was literally 3 blocks from that original nursing home where so many people had passed. So I wasn't upset when the rink closed. And he's been home over 2 weeks now. So, and he has left the house once to go for a drive with me, just to get out of the house. Other than that, he's pretty much not left the house. So he should be clear then. Yeah, Joyce. Hey, but your parents can talk more than my dogs and cats can. Besides, they just lay there and sleep. Yeah, Tucker's looking at me like, who, me? Salem's out cold. I don't know where Tigger is. He's out somewhere. I'd had to go out and get them food the other day. And I hadn't brought it in. I just got it, but then didn't bring it in. And they needed food this morning. And he was not happy with me that I was not leaping out of bed to go get his food out of the car. Yeah, my husband's still working. He had a 3-hour long conference call yesterday. 3 hours. I was like, okay, I'm kind of over this. And he's working in the dining room, which is kind of open to the whole house, so everybody got to hear his entire conference call. I'm trying to keep the dogs quiet, and at least, the kids, like, they're not, well, they can be noisy, but they're not too bad, so. All right. I sit there and say, I'm not going to talk about this, but what do I talk about? So, and I probably won't be able to, I'll get another side done, but I'll have to do more. So, I don't know. I'll punch a few more and we'll get the roof done. I'll just save the back of the roof to do off camera. Oh no, so when you go back and watch the video, you'll see we've been talking about it. It's not just me. I just know a lot of people want this to be kind of a respite, so I try, but I'm not always real good about it. So it's on me, not you. Unfortunately, it's basically a subject that's on a lot of our minds, so. This is harder for you to see. I'm trying to figure out a way where I can have it to where you can see what I'm doing, but I need to see too. So that's tricky. So I'm just shaping the leaves as I go along. I find this very relaxing and to sit and do this kind of thing. Some of you may not enjoy this part as much. I do know Heartfelt Creations has a leaf dye with their, I think it's wild rose or something like that, that is very similar to the shape. So. See, I always think it would be like watching grass grow. I don't watch other people's shows, so you gotta bear with me. I just make assumptions. I haven't watched somebody else's show in a very long time. Oh, I gotta let Tucker out. Hang on. Tucker, do you need out? Hang on. Stay, Leaf. Are you sleeping upside down? Are you sleeping upside down, mister? Sarah and I have decided that Salem is half bat because he likes to sleep. He lays and he hangs his head over upside down off of the back. He sleeps on the back of the couch and then hangs his head over. I'm going, doesn't all the blood just kind of rush to your head? That's what he likes to sleep. So we've decided he's part bat. The fact that he's black. Well, he's actually a really super dark brown. Oh, he was being nice and quiet because he hadn't heard anything and he was sleeping. He was on the couch sleeping, but now he'll go switch over and go somewhere else in the house. He's not terribly noisy other than when he hears something or the vacuum comes out. That's when he flips gears. Okay, so I need to punch a few more. So you can see how that's coming along. It's looking much more fairy-like. So let's just punch a few more so that we can get the... I'll worry about the back roof later. But I'll just do 3 each direction. And by having the variation of the color, it also gives it a much more natural look. But you could always do it just one color of cardstock if you want. You could also, if you don't have green, you could just take some white and ink it to the green color if you don't have any green cardstock around. I was thinking it would be fun to do an album, since we're going to have another month of this. It would be fun to do an album totally from stuff, product stuff, that you have around the house or that you can get at the grocery store. Since craft stores aren't supposed to be open, though you can, excuse me, order online, especially those smaller stores. The little our stores that are struggling to, our brick and mortars stores that are struggling already to stay open, and then you throw this on top of them, and there's many of them that are really trying to be creative with how they get stuff to you. And so if you have one of those stores local to you, by all means support them. Any of the little guys because they're the ones taking the bigger hit for the big box stores. So. Okay, let's ink these up. Pam, are the birds going with them, or do you need to keep the birds? Pam's getting her craft room back. All animals are going. Well, I knew the dog would, but I didn't know if the birds were gonna. Trevor and I were at Pam's when he was first going to New Hampshire, and we were staying with her until he could. It was right after the holidays. It was snowing and stuff. We got in. There was a bad snowstorm, so we ended up staying a couple extra days at Pam's before taking Trevor up to New Hampshire so he can get settled in up there. And they had a fire alarm go off in their building, and everybody's, racing out and stuff. And we got the dog in the car while sitting in the car because it's like a knee-deep snow outside because everybody was home because of the snow and stuff. And we watched one of her neighbors hauling out, good Lord, they had a menagerie in their apartment. Obviously, they were hauling bunnies and everything else and sticking them in the car, and the lady was freaking out, and it was rather, in hindsight, humorous to watch. At the time, it wasn't, but then we find out, it was a false alarm because of somebody smoking in their apartment or something. So, anyway, we all got back and we get into the apartment and we go, oh, we kind of forgot the birds. There's some parakeets, and we forgot the birds. So the parakeets would have been toast if it had been an actual fire, because we all forgot about the birds. It's so bad. I shouldn't be laughing because it really wasn't funny, but it was. There's 5 of them. It's not like you can miss them. They're vocal. But we all coming back in the apartment and go, oh, the birds. Oops. But it was a false alarm, so it's humorous. But it wasn't. Had it not been a false alarm, it wouldn't have been so funny. But crazy. All right, let's finish up this one up here. Well, and based on my commentary at the beginning of the show here, my annoyance with some of the big box stores, and I won't get started on some of the issues I have with some of them, but let's just put it this way. This whole thing is bringing out true colors of some of the big box store CEOs, etc. I might be doing a whole heck of a lot less shopping at some of these big box stores based on their behavior during all of this. Yeah, parakeets tend to be noisy. They're the ones that have they're usually like green or blue, yellow, and then they have kind of the black and white a little bit on their heads. They're also called budgies. But yeah, they can be pretty noisy, especially when you got a group of them. They get singing and chirping in. My favorite shops are both in Canada, so it's like, oh, I can't even mail order right now from them. That's rough. That's rough, Annie. Well, as big as Seattle is, we don't really have too many of the scrapbook stores any longer. We don't have any much of any kind of crafting stores. A lot of the quilting shops and stuff, you know, we're struggling, and I'm sure this is probably doing them in. I don't know. And I have a hard time like buying fabric and stuff. I need to touch it, feel it, see it. Paper I have less issue buying online, but fabric is tough. Yeah, I know Monica has one opening up, but that's completely on the other side of the country from me. So at least the one is just, it's a couple hours north in Langley, and then the other one's in Calgary, but I'm teaching with her, so hopefully. Probably, I'm guessing, might not be in June. We haven't discussed it yet. We're hoping still, but not exactly sure. But as I've told her, I am available at any time in 2020. I can handle even the winter. I'm a good little Alaska girl. I can handle snow. Yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close. At least getting 3 sides. And like I said, I'll do the back off camera and have it ready next go around. Where are we at for time? We got 15, 20 minutes. I grew up in Alaska. That's my brother's still up there. I moved my mom down here to Seattle. I'm in Seattle, Washington right now, but I grew up in Anchorage. I still consider it, it's home. I've lived here in Seattle for a very long time, since the late 80s, since 89. So I've lived here, 30 years, but I grew up in Anchorage, and so it will forever be, my quote unquote home. I think wherever you've actually grown up, mentally is home. So, um, Anchorage temperatures and Calgary temperatures are not that dissimilar. And when I was in Alaska, I used to climb all winter because I didn't like bears. I would sail on my brother's sailboat in the summertime, and then I would climb in the wintertime. So I've been in 40, 50 below, so I can handle Calgary. That's 40, 50 below Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in uh, in Celsius, centigrade, whatever it's called. Um, so, but I can handle cold. So anyway, so we've got that on there, and so then our little door. Where did my door go? Okay, it was with the roof. How can I lose this stuff? I just had it. Oh, Grumble. No, I got it out when I got the roof up, but what did I do with it? Ah, there it is. Poking out from under. All right, so let's see what paper I'm going to use. I think I'm going to use this lighter wood. That's from the Woods collection. Because I might save this for my cover, the darker, a little bit darker one. So I'm going to use this pale one as my door. Okay, we're not going to get to the windows today because I'm just like not moving at a terribly fast clip. And everybody seems to not be bothered by the slow, tedious stuff. Because I think it's not so much about the project, it's really more about the whole just getting together. Well, the thing is Alexa is 20 below and 40 below, honestly, don't feel a whole lot different. Yeah, to Floridian, 60 is freezing. Your blood is much thinner. Literally, that's not just a statement. That truly is a fact. That when you live in colder climates, your blood just thickens up. It's part of just what the human body does to help deal with the temperatures. Whereas you guys say 60 is cold, it's cold in Florida. In Anchorage, when it hits 60, people are in bathing suits. The shorts and the bathing suits, and the pale, pale white skin comes out. uh, Oh God, see, I can't handle 91. I can't do that kind of heat. Oh my goodness. And it's humid in Florida. Ugh. I've been there twice. We've been to Disney World down there, and it's like, oh my goodness. And then your rain comes down, and it's just like the sky literally opens up, and the water just deluges down, and it's like, holy kerschmoly. So, you guys enjoy Florida. I don't. My hair looks scary in Florida. How do you deal with trying to look professional and that sort of thing down there when it's 90 and 300% humidity? So my husband wants to retire to Palm Springs or Phoenix. I told him I could probably handle Phoenix. I do have no desire to go to Palm Springs. But yeah, he seems to think, well, he just loves, he's like a pig in slop in the heat. And I'm like, well, I can deal with it as long as I can come back to the Pacific Northwest on occasion and I have AC. Because Phoenix isn't too bad. It's dry. It's desert heat. So I can handle that. It's the humid stuff that I just wilt. I just turn into a little wilted puddle. So, all right. So I just covered that. Now, if you wanted to, you could do slats or something like that. But I just, let's put a little. No, or we can do an actual. What did I do with it? I had one of these. So we'll use a hitch post on there and make the door with a hitch post to act like a doorknob. But you can just use a brad as well. And I'm up probably an inch from the bottom. The one thing with the hitch post, because it's got this little screw head on the back, is it does have some dimension to it. So when you set it on here, it probably is not going to lay super ooper duper flat. So you can always put some little foam dots behind it, or just know that it's going to. This is bowing a little bit, so I'm letting it bow a little bit as it dries, so that it's not as pronounced. But then if you just put lots of glue on the back. So I'm just lathering it up. That's why I had to go out and get glue before everything shut down a week or so ago, so that I was ready. Now I'll do a little, I'm going to do a little, when we do the box, I'm going to do a little step coming out here. And then I'll also going to put just some little trim along here, probably like 1/4 inch tall or something like that. And I'll have to figure out what color I want to do that. So, but let me hold this till it dries. It's 15 in Calgary. That's pretty cold. I know that's in 15C, not F, but that's still pretty cold. Well, I keep thinking, let's move to Canada, not for those reasons. So. Sarah likes her Canadian boys, so I assume I will have Canadian grandchildren. She didn't talk to too many that are not Canadian these days. All right, so we got the door on. We got most of the roof. We didn't get the windows, so we'll get the windows. I will try to get the windows done except for one, so we're not doing all four of them in class. And so I'll do one window in class, and the other three I will get done in advance. But I think it's looking pretty cute. It has a little bit, it's subtle, the color, but you do see that it's not showing up on camera as well because of the lighting is flooding the color out a little bit. You can see it a little bit more on this side. So, and then the other thing I want to do is go through on my stone and adding that little bit of with the vintage photo, adding some warmish tones in there. So, soften up the gray a little bit. And then out of the chimney, I'm just going to get a little bit of stuffing fluff. You can use a cotton ball too, and make it so it's going to end up looking like there's a little bit of smoke coming up out of the top of the chimney. So, but it's coming along, looking cute. And so Friday night, first thing what we'll do is we'll finish up the windows. And as I said, I'll get 3 of the windows done, so we're just doing 1 in class. And then we're going to get started on the box that will hold both the album as well as create a base for our house. And it's going to have a little creek in it. I'm making mine 8.5 by 11. I know a couple of people talked about when I showed it during the last class that they were going to make theirs a little bit larger. And you can do that. It's your project, so you can do it however you want to. So, yes, this is a Tim Holtz hitch post. I will make sure, Lois, that there's some blue flowers. There is some blue here. There's blue in the wood of the roof, but I will make sure that there is at least some blue flowers. How's that? And the other thing we're going to be working on too, once we get the base going, is we're going to be making some mushrooms. I'm playing around with them as to whether they're going to be paper or they're going to be fabric. I don't want to use materials that people don't have ready access to right now, so I'm probably going to end up doing them something out of paper rather than out of fabric. So, but that'll be fun. Let's see. Also, Easter is coming up in just under 2 weeks. Do we want to take a break from this after Friday and work on a quick little Easter project, or do you want to just keep moving along with this? And I potentially, if I do an Easter project, I might just do it just as a YouTube video. But we shall see on that. Oh, there, now you can see the roof of the tower a little better, but it's coming out cute. It's different, a little bit different than the original, and we'll be adding some other foo-foo stuff on there. And also the windows down here have some little shutters. So it seems weird to have ink on my fingers. I wash my hands so often. I used to always have ink on my hands. It doesn't mean I didn't wash, I just didn't scrub them quite to the level we do nowadays. So I used to embarrass Sarah completely if I would have ink on my fingers when we go out. So.
Alrighty.
Okay, Christine put in an order for the Easter project. So we'll work on this, and we'll have the house done and get the box started then on Friday. And then, so maybe next Tuesday we'll work on an Easter project, or we'll see how the weekend's going. I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to do anything over the weekend or add a class in. We'll have to wait and see on that. But doing something cute little Easter quick project will be fun. So. Oh, there's an echo. Oh.
I clicked the button, but it didn't click. That makes sense? I clicked on it, but it didn't click. That's it. So yeah, sorry there was an echo. So fix it. Sorry. There's a button that I have to click with the sound when I switch from one camera to the other, because it's switching from one mic to the other. That's one of the things Trevor and I are going to sit down with and figure out how to get my big mic hooked on, because it doesn't want to recognize it right now. So I'll have to get that all figured out. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to let you guys all go. I want everybody to stay safe, stay home, stay positive. If anytime anybody needs somebody to talk to, I am more than happy. I am on West Coast time, but my body clock is totally screwed up, so I'm up late, up early. So, but I'm serious. If anybody ever really needs somebody to talk to, even if it's just chat via text or Facebook Messenger, I'm here. So I'm more than happy to help out. This is a rough time and it's scary right now. So I don't want anybody to feel completely left out and alone. So but everybody, please do everything you can to help our frontline warriors, the doctors and nurses and all of the medical staff that are about to be completely overwhelmed throughout the country. And and the best thing we can do is to stay home and not catch this, so that people aren't overwhelming our systems, our medical systems. It's proving that you can flatten the curve and you can keep the systems from being completely overwhelmed by doing everything in your power not to be out and about. So we're trained for this. We have stashes built for this, to be able to stay home and craft. So we'll all do our part and do just that. So trying to make light over a serious subject. So I'm not laughing about it, but we've all been building these large stashes for many, many, many years. So there's a reason why. I will be on Friday at a little bit later. I come on at 6, which is 2.5 hours later than it started today. You can always look on my website under the schedule tab. I'm trying to keep that up to date. And then the videos for these shows, current shows, I've just been leaving them up on YouTube. I need to put them up over on my website as well, but I haven't yet. So they're just available right now over on YouTube. So, but I'll link it and put it on my website. But it's 6 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time. So wherever you are in Australia, it will probably be Saturday morning sometime. But you can put my time zone, which is Pacific time zone, 6 p.m. Pacific time zone, into there's multiple. If you just type in time zone converter in Google that, you'll get multiple ones that all you have to put in is what time the 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time into the time zone converter, and it will tell you, and then what time zone you're in, and it will tell you what time it will be in your time zone. So it's 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Friday. And again, in Australia, it should be Saturday morning sometime. I don't know if we have any of our other Aussies here that can help out with that. So, oh, Crazy Lady Cross. That's why I've been doing this. There are days where it's not what I want to do, but I also find it's helpful to me. As I have said over the years, I get more out of this than many of you do, and I think it's important right now, while we have to physically be separated from each other, that we still connect up with other people. So if this is in any small way helpful to anyone, that's why I do it. It's scary times right now, and we're all in this together. This is not just one geographical area. This is the entire planet. So we're all in this together, and we'll all get through it together. We're all realizing real fast what's the most important in our lives, and it's our connections with other people that I think we're realizing are way more important than anything else. So I just want everybody, please be safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. And we'll be here on Friday. So everybody, we will see you then. So peace out. Thank you to Lois and to Joy, who helped me out. Also Pam, for being my mods for this. We haven't had too many trolls of late, so it's not been as challenging as it was back in the old days when Joy had to use her boot much more frequently. So anyway, thank you also to all of you for joining me here, and we'll be back then on Friday. So peace out. Love you guys all bunches. Be safe. Bye for now.